Welcome. My name is Ben Nicholls. I'm the Executive Director for Fire Safe Sonoma, and this afternoon we would like to talk to you about understanding the CWPP and the California CWPP Toolkit. This funding has been brought to you by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, as well as the California Fire Safe Council, to share this important information with our communities across the state of California. Next slide. So what is a CWPP? A CWPP stands for Community Wildfire Protection Plan. It was established under the Healthy Forests Restoration Act of 2003, which recognized communities as key stakeholders in wildfire mitigation and prevention. It provides a framework for communities to collaborate with local governments, fire departments, and state forestry agencies to identify wildfire hazards, prioritize fuel reduction areas, and recommend measures to reduce structural ignitability. It's a vehicle for funding and setting priorities. It's a collaborative decision-making process, and it complements other plans such as the CAL FIRE Unit Fire Plan, local hazard mitigation plans, or safety elements as related to county planning documents. It's focused on community wildfire risk reduction. Next slide. So the CWPP update process. Here in Sonoma County, we're coming into our third CWPP update, with the first CWPP released in 2017 and an update in 2023. So for 2028, the next update for a 5-year cycle, we are going to begin that process spring of next year, 2027. The goal being to update CWPPs every 5 years because it's intended to be a living document that evolves with the wildfire risk. Any CWPP older than 10 years old is considered out of date and needs to be updated. When we talk about the CWPP process, we bring together stakeholders to develop the plan. Those stakeholders are traditionally agencies, organizations, local experts, all involved in planning, fire, forestry, fuels management, and emergency management, such as state and federal land management agencies, local governments, tribes, fire departments. And these groups may provide information based on their relevant expertise. With that group brought together, the risk assessment begins. During that risk assessment, priority areas are identified and articulated. Those risk assessments and priority areas are vetted for the public to review to ensure that no pieces have been missed in the development of the plan. And then once finally ratified, the final updated CWPP plan is implemented or distributed to the communities that it represents. Next slide. So the CWPP Toolkit came about as a result of the 2021 California Wildfire and Forest Resilient Action Plan that identified a need to develop a CWPP best practices guide. In coordination with the California Fire Safe Council, the Watershed Research and Training Center, and other organizations, CAL FIRE developed a best practice guide for new and updated community wildfire protection plans, including data standards to facilitate integration with other plans at the county, regional, and statewide level. The idea is to create more consistency, clarify expectations, empower communities, provide support resources, and ultimately implement the need that was identified in 2021. Next slide. So the best practices guide is what is now called the California Wildfire Protection Plan Toolkit. The toolkit is made up of 3 components. They are the CWPP guide, CWPP best practices, and the CWPP resources and templates. Next slide. For the CWPP guide, Californians must meet specific requirements. I'm sorry, CWPPs in California must meet specific requirements to be considered valid plans by CAL FIRE. And these requirements include documentation that the plan was collaboratively developed and included public engagement. It conducts an assessment of the wildfire hazard and risk, creates a list of prioritized actions to address hazardous fuels and reduce structural ignitability, as well as being signed by the authorized representatives of the local government, fire department, and local CAL FIRE unit to ensure the plan was collaboratively created. Additional content to describe the planning area, plan goals and objectives, roles and responsibilities, response and suppression capabilities, and more. Next slide. In the best practices section, we want to address the CWPP best practices and provide strategies, examples, tips, and resources to help improve the planning outcomes. That's the idea behind the best practices section in the toolkit. That allows the process as a plan is created or updated to align the CWPP with other plans for maximum impact, such as the local hazard mitigation plan, the safety element, and the local unit fire plan. Creates a diverse and multidisciplinary CWPP working group. It brings about the ability to employ a robust CWPP project implementation and tracking methods. By doing that, it guides the process on creating clear performance indicators and collection of data, leveraging technology to aid the CWPP implementation, such as our local Sonoma County LiDAR update that tracks the vegetation across our landscape, report information to and collect feedback from the communities, which is a critical component of the process, and the ability to hold regular reviews and updates of that project implementation and tracking. We want to engage communities equitably through the public participation process, as well as providing county-level leadership for CWPP development and implementation. Next slide. So in the toolkit, we have the CWPP template. This template is provided to create a more consistent product across the state and ensures required information is captured in that consistent format and is as concise as possible. Next slide. So the process requirements. We want to make sure that the collaboration has taken place between local government, fire authorities, and CAL FIRE. We want to make sure that there's been consultation with federal agencies and local stakeholders. And while there's no United States Forest Service in Sonoma County, there is Bureau of Land Management holding. So BLM would need to be part of the conversation, as well as community outreach and engagement. We want to have a plan review and approval process and make sure that the plan is submitted to CAL FIRE for final signatures and plan implementation. Next slide. Which brings us to the content requirements. So each CWPP must include an assessment of the wildfire hazard and risk, the action plan with prioritized projects to address that risk, landscape management and fuel treatment, such as shaded fuel breaks, prescribed fire, grazing operations, to ignitability measures for structures and infrastructure, from defensible space to home hardening, and identifying critical infrastructure throughout the area to be evaluated. Followed by wildfire response and suppression capabilities to match the wildfire threat. Next slide. Best practices bring the CWPP to a more effective state. That plan needs to align with local hazard mitigation plans and safety elements, as well as community level leadership and coordination, whole community engagement, multidisciplinary working groups, and project implementation and tracking. Next slide. Now we need to move from planning to action. So that means outreach and engagement methods so that we're effectively communicating with and getting feedback from the local communities involved. We're addressing any CEQA compliance considerations for landscape level fuels treatments, hiring consultants to bring that product to completion, finding funding sources because the CWPP process can become an expensive process, and so outside funding helps with that completion, as well as supplemental tools to make a more robust project. Next slide. So local integration and next steps. As I mentioned earlier, Sonoma County will be conducting its 5-year CWPP update that will be released in spring of 2028, which means that that process will begin next spring in 2027. Our Firewise community leaders across the county are that integral part for that community up and down communication during the CWPP process. Next slide. And bringing it all together. So the CWPP is a shared roadmap for reducing wildfire risk. The toolkit provides clear guidance and support throughout this process. Community participation drives the success, which is critical to successful implementation. And it needs to stay engaged through the meetings and Firewise activities to ensure the information is not only going up from the communities, but back down to the communities through that collaborative process. You can find more information about CWPPs by visiting the CAL FIRE CWPP Toolkit webpage. And you can also view the Sonoma County CWPP on our website at firesafesonoma.org under the resources tab. Thank you.